Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, and we are back for another Swiss Shadows Over Innistrad draft. So since we're back in Swiss, I'm going to try a different draft strategy than I usually do. We'll see how much it actually ends up being different. But my plan now is to go more aggressively archetypal rather than vacuum power pick. So that still might mean I take the Angelic Purge, although Markov Dreadnought is very good. So very good vampire archetypal card, although not the best at... it's not like it's insane at triggering madness, but just the fact that it's like a self-made sort of, you know, win con. I might just want to take the Dreadnought. I like Angelic Purge a lot, though, for Delirium. I still think I'm going to go Dreadnought. It just feels like it wins the game on its own. Certainly a delightful card to have for any sort of vampire deck. We'll see if that ends up panning out. So, well, we're past Bound by Moonsilver, which is pretty difficult to pass. Yeah, I mean, this is just too crazy good. So we're going to take the Bound by Moonsilver. What archetype would Bound by Moonsilver work best in? Probably a green-white humans. Dreadnought, of course, can be in black-white. I'm trying to think what the black-white deck is. I've drafted it a couple times. I guess it's just sort of a high-value sort of deck. There's also this Ulvenwald Mysteries, which I did want to try. This seems like a very good card. But Bound by Moonsilver just seems so good. Basically, a pacifism that you can move around. I mean, that is just a little bit too good to pass, I think, here. Well, pass another vampire. Pretty fun one. Very good Madness Enabler in Elusive Tormentor. So I probably just take this guy. Pretty awesome card. And nothing else in here I really care about. Urdwall Illuminator is a great card. Especially for like blue-green clue making. But let's take the Tormentor here. Alright, so what have we got here that catches my eye? We really don't have anything that goes with the vampire deck. There's no black card. We have Emissary of the Sleepless, which is fine. I'm trying to think what the strongest card in the pack is. To be honest, it's probably Vessel of Nascency or Just the Wind, both of which are strong cards in the archetype. Neither of those archetypes seeming like what we want to do, though. I mean, Just the Wind, I guess, works technically with Dreadnought and Tormentor. So for that reason, I could just take that. I could just take the Sleepless to go with the Bound by Moonsilver, since Bound by Moonsilver is certainly one of the strongest cards we have at the moment. It's also splashable, though. Yeah, this is kind of just an unexciting pack in general. It seems early to take the Emissary, but Emissary is a pretty playable card, so I guess we'll take it. Well, there's Tenacity, there's Twins, there's Incorrigible Youths. All of these cards are insanely good. I would take Incorrigible Youths over Twins if I wanted to make this vampire thing work. We have two strong vampire cards already, and this is just a great card to madness out. Certainly better than Twins, I would say, just because of the haste. Although maybe they're comparable. Maybe just the fact that I have a couple strong black vamps already makes me want to prefer the Twins. There is Tenacity, which is very strong here too. It's just, I don't really think, like I was just telling you, I'm trying to draft an archetypal thing. Really, black-white doesn't have a strong synergistic archetypal base. I maybe just want to take the Incorrigible Youths anyway, but maybe it's just comparable enough to Twins where I take that instead. Well, we're past another Incorrigible Youths. Maybe we take it. Go for the red-black vamp. We have two rare vamps and a very good madness vamp. Take another strong, aggressive madness vamp. Okay. Maybe we go for the vamps deck here if we can make it work. There's an Inspiring Captain. I think I'm just going to take the Port Town. It's worth probably a ticket. Tormenting Voice, very good Madness Enabler. All right, get a second Madness Enabler. Card draw, also good. Okay, So the thing about aggressively drafting an archetypal deck like Vamps is you really have to pull the trigger on less powerful cards that fit in with the strategy. Like, for example, taking an Insolent Neonate maybe over like a Reduce to Ashes or something, because you really just want this deck to come together in a strong way. Like Alms of the Vein I don't really like. Rush of Adrenaline seems like a card that would be very good in an aggressive deck. And Sanitarium Skeleton, fine with cards like Tormenting Voice, and I guess technically Markov Dreadnought and Tormentor too. But I guess I would prefer the Rush of Adrenaline if we end up being more aggressive. So we can take the Grotesque Mutation over the Wicker Witch. We don't have any Delirium cards currently, and Grotesque Mutation is another fine combat trick. All right. You know, I bet Alms of the Vein is playable. I know a lot of you probably don't think it is, but I'm certainly not going to be excited about playing it. I just am willing to try it. All right. Shambleback's probably not that good either, but we'll sideboard it at least. We'll cut the red card because we likely want to be red now. I'm going to take the foil land. I got to play the foil land too, right? People love those foil lands. Okay, well, we got to start, like I said, that certainly motivates us to want to go down the... why did they put these under the 4-drops? That's weird. Certainly makes us want to go down the aggressive Vamp strategy. We'll see if that happens. Like I said, I'm going to try and aggressively draft it. We'll see if that comes together for us. Altered Ego is a strong card. We probably just want the Fiery Temper. Sinister Concoction, Breakneck Rider, a lot of good cards in here. Breakneck Rider is certainly still playable in this aggressive deck because it's an aggressive card. And Sinister Concoction turns on your Madness, which is very good. But Fiery Temper also works with Madness and burns face or creature. So I think we're just going to take that, even though I think Concoction is very good too. Let's just take the white cards out now. Let's really try and hone in on this deck. So probably just twins here. Nothing really close otherwise. So more Madness Enablers at this point would be nice. We do already have Tormentor Youths and Tormenting Voice though, which is not a bad start. Pale Rider is probably what we're looking for. Great Madness Enabler. Good aggressive card. Yeah, that seems correct to me. Not a Vamp, though. But currently we don't have any cards that need us to play Vamps. It just turns out red-black aggro in general tends to have a lot of Vamps. So if we pick up, like, the Stromkirk Mentor or the Olivia's Bloodsworn, these are actual cards that reward you for playing Vamps. Styncia's Masquerade, for example, is at its strongest in a deck like this. A Cursed Witch, for example. Now we have the choice between a Cursed Witch and Neonate. See, Neonate turns on cards like... Well, let's pretend that we're not playing Alms of the Vein, because I think that's not something we want to play. But this is an example where I think a Cursed Witch is, even though it's not a Madness Enabler, it's such a strong card that I probably just want to take it over the Neonate. See, this is tough. This is an example of, do I go for the archetypal card in Neonate over an Accursed Witch, which is just so strong? And I think the answer is no. Just because Accursed Witch really is that strong of a card. Like, you can just keep attacking in, they kill it, and then they're on a clock for the rest of the game. Whereas Neonate is a fantastic Madness Enabler with 3 Madness cards already. But I still think I'm going to take the Accursed Witch. Cannot help myself. Okay, now we have Murderer's Axe, which can turn on our Madness cards, but we also have a shot at another Twins, which, if we manage to pick up some Madness Enablers, these Twins get really strong. We want to keep the count kind of consistent, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Madness Enablers, and 5 Madness cards, if we include the Alms of the Vein, which is fine for now. I think we'll take another Madness. I think in a vacuum, Twins is a more desirable pick than Murderer's Axe. And if we can pick up some more Madness Enablers, we're going to be really happy we have all of these Madness cards. So we'll see how well this comes together here. Okay, well, Macabre is a great Madness enabler. Probably better than Rancid Rats and Ghoul Caller's Accomplice. Probably. We have a good creature count going right now. We're gonna need some more aggressive creatures. I mean, you can just cast this to enable Madness, but you really want to get the full value off of it. We also need some cheap creatures, but I think I'm gonna take the Macabre now, just on the speculation that it really is gonna be that good in our deck. I could take the Merciless Resolve. It's card draw. Otherwise, Foul Orchard for a green splash is an option as well. How likely is it that I'm playing Merciless Resolve? I think Macabre plays a similar role in that they're both card advantage spells, so I'd rather have the Macabre. Let's just take the Orchard in case there's some crazy green splash card I want to play. Well, this is definitely just a miss here, so let's take the best card, which I suppose is maybe the Provisioner. Definitely a miss again. This time I think we'll take the second Rush of Adrenaline over the... All right, well, this pack's proving to be a bit of a problem towards our strategy of aggressively drafting black-white, or black-red rather, black-red aggro. Okay, I mean, I'll take Stallion of Ashma. Well, geez, late Uvenwald Mystery. I could splash it off a Foul Orchard. Splashing Uvenwald Mysteries. I mean, it's good. It's a very good card. Lets you investigate. We don't really have a great way to get Delirium online, but I guess we'll take the Stallion. All right, Warped Landscape I think is going to help cast our Stallion now, although not an ideal card in an aggressive deck. We'll still take it, I think. Could take the Dual Shot, too. But let's take the Warped Landscape, I guess. Jeez, late Thraben Inspector. Guess we'll still take the Landscape. Aim High, we're just going to hate. All right, well, aggressive archetypal drafting not exactly working out so well out of that pack. I still think we're going to make this deck come together. We straight up require some very cheap creatures now. Behold the Beyond, not included in that. Voldaren Duelist is very good. It's aggressive. Rancid Rats is a thing too. I think this deck would prefer the Vamp, probably. If we don't end up with cheap creatures, we're going to be in big trouble because we have all these combat tricks. But I still think we want the Duelist here. Could take the Kindred. It just doesn't have any synergy with... Not that it matters. It is just like a cheap card. But I think we're going to take the Duelist. So we're really just prioritizing cheap creatures very highly. And just a complete and utter miss here. Guess we can take the Devil's Playground. Over Reduced to Ashes, I guess. It's probably more powerful. Alright, well, Imburai Wolf is aggressive. Guess we can take it. Oh, wow. Triskaidekaphobia, which does pair well with the Cursed Witch. Another encourage. I mean, this pack has everything we want. The Indulgent Aristocrat, which is an actual vamp. I think we got to take this Triskaidekaphobia, though. This card seems very good. Which sucks because it's in the same pack as the Incorrigible Youths. Yeah. I don't know what to say. We're going to take the Triskaidekaphobia. I think that card's very good. We can take a second Tormenting Voice here. Yeah, we'll take another Madness Enabler. Could take the Skeleton, I guess. We do have combat tricks. We're Creature Light. Still think I'd take the Tormenting Voice. You can be Creature Light if you're doing card draw like we are. Okay, I guess I take Sanguinary Mage now. Noble, just because it fits our curve better. I like Arsonist a lot. We've kind of got a lot of 5-drops already. I think we're just going to take the cheaper creature here. So I guess technically this is a deck. Let's try and ditch the Alms of the Vein if possible. The rest is going to be okay. So we really want 2 more creatures because we have 3 combat tricks. I wouldn't mind swapping out a combat trick for another. I guess we have 14 creatures if you include Devil's Playground. We'll see how this Triskaidekaphobia plays. I've got high hopes for it. I definitely lost against it. Well, Senseless Rage is a fitting card for this deck because we have the means to madness it out. So I guess we'll take it. I mean, double Tormenting Voice, Pale Rider. Pale Rider's actually awesome with Senseless Rage. 4 mana, you get a 5/5 Skulk. I know the Skulk's not very good, but it's cool. Skeleton, I mean, Skeleton's fine too. I'm going to take the Senseless Rage, though. Okay. Pyrehound, let's do a count. I mean, we've got double Rush of Adrenaline and Grotesque Mutate. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, which is not a ton. We also kind of want our curve to be a little bit better. I kind of want to take this Kindred instead. It just curves out a little bit better. I kind of like what Pyrehound offers us, but I think I'm going to go Kindred just for curve purposes. And we probably cut a Rush of Adrenaline. Another Alms of the Vein, not really necessary. I mean, this deck looks fine now. We're keeping busy. We're probably aggressive enough. None of these cards matter. I'll take the Logger, which is probably the biggest problem. I mean, there's a certain deck that wants pieces of the puzzle. I think Exposed Evil's probably better, though. Strength of Arms can be annoying. So, I don't hate our deck. And I didn't necessarily aggressively draft. I wanted to aggressively draft a Vampire deck. I ended up aggressively drafting just red-black. And I wouldn't say it was a complete and utter failure. Actually, Root Out can deal with Triskaidekaphobia, so I'll take that. I wouldn't say it's a complete and utter failure. I wouldn't say I'm thrilled with this deck either. I think this deck is going to be fine. I wish it was a little bit better. We did certainly get enough ways to finish games, and I think we're going to be just aggressive enough where I'm not, like, horribly unhappy with this build. But I think this deck certainly could have been a little bit better. You almost have to count these as like 5-drops now, because basically you want to cast Tormenting Voice. You don't have to, though. I mean, they're still definitely 2-drops. And I guess Tormenting Voice, Macabre Bolts maybe kind of work well together. You can ditch expensive creatures early, only to bring them back with Macabre Bolts. And actually, Macabre Bolts just works so well with these Madness cards. We'll see. I think this deck is fine. I think it's got some cool cards. It's not exactly what I had in mind. And I think we're going to try running both Warped Landscapes anyway. Even though we've got a bit of color intensity, I still think that's probably going to end up being fine. Probably want to be close to an even split. They're saying we should have more black than red. I guess we do have more black cards, so I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I can't rate this deck higher than a C. It's got some cool cards in it. I mean, we have Dreadnought, we have good rares, we have good finishers. Like Tormentor's a good rare. I think Triskaidekaphobia is going to prove itself to be pretty good. Dreadnought is very good, and Devil's Playground is certainly good too. We've got some Madness enablers. We have some Madness, so it's a red-black Madness aggro deck. It came together reasonably well. The Neonate versus the Accursed Witch. If we'd ended up with more Neonates, it certainly would have been better. But a Curse Witch, like I said, is just such a strong card. It really just draining your opponent out, especially alongside Triskaidekaphobia, is just going to turn out to be really good, I think. You know, if they're at 14 and you have the Curse Witch, and if you have Infectious Curse and Triskaidekaphobia, you get to stack it, so this triggers first, then they die. If they're at 13, you get to stack it, so Triskaidekaphobia goes off before the Infectious Curse. I think just that the slow and steady drain effect works so well alongside Triskaidekaphobia, as does like Fiery Temper. So, all in all, a fine deck. Could have been better. I'll give it a C. We'll give it a 74%. We'll see how it runs. All right, here it is. Red-Black Aggro. We'll see you round 1.